Hello, everybody. This is Subspace Desktop Weekly Meeting. As usual, we will give you the latest changes. Let me share my screen and proceed. All right. So we have a couple of new issues and a couple of new closed issues. Let me go through them one by one. Actually, let me just do this. Okay. All right. So this one. We had an error when the node is unable to connect to the network. We are rendering not a number in here. This is assigned on Serge, but he's not here today. He's having a surgery, so our best wishes to him. So we are aware of this bug and we are trying to solve it, but as a side note, this happens really rarely because Node is able to connect to the network 99.9% of the time, but still we will cover this issue as well. So again, related to that error, we made a more general issue. So if Node fails, we can show a pop-up or an error, and we can simply put a restart the Node application button, something like that. By restart the node, I don't mean erasing all the data. It's just relaunching the application so that node can try to connect again. So this can be generalized to every part of the application. Serge again made a flowchart about that. So where can be the error happen in the application flow? Again, we may discuss it in the next week when he is here. And please interrupt me if you have any questions. I'm trying to go slowly. So we had this bug. So we are actually able to plot on an external drive, but the available size is not updating itself. So if you are to plot in an external drive, you can at most plot at the size of the available size on your drive which the operating system is installed on. We fixed this bug, we believe. So there's the open PR about that. The tests for Linux has been made. I couldn't test it for macOS because I couldn't find my external hard drive for that. We will try to test it for macOS and Windows and then hopefully resolve this issue altogether. But it is promising and I believe it will be merged tomorrow at most. So another issue one of our users submitted is adding the name of the operating system in the executables. I made a PR about that. So this is actually related to Tauri, not on our side. We are using Tauri action in our GitHub CI to build the executables. Justin also submitted an issue about this beforehand, like for Windows 10 and Windows 2022. So they are kind of relative issues. We hope to get some response from Tauri team about that. But when I contacted them, they said even if they are going to do something about that, it won't be a high priority because the extension for MSI or DEB or DMG is already explaining the OS version. And I explained them, of course, for us, the developers, it makes sense, but for the regular users, it should be better for including the OS name. So I'm kind of waiting an answer from them. The worst case is we can manually edit the release names ourselves, but we prefer it to be automated, of course. So that's why I'm going to wait a bit longer from an answer from the Tower side.
Yeah, and I reached out to them when we first brought this up like 6 months ago or whatever. And they kind of gave me that same response of like, okay, well, yeah, but not a huge priority, you know, we'll get it eventually. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, like we will see. So this was a bug before this first task was completed, and it was completed like 2 weeks ago, approximately. Since this was completed, it's now an improvement instead of a bug, so that's why I updated the label, but no other progress on the second task. So the important thing is we have less bugs as issues in the repository. I can proceed to closed ones now. Okay. So this. Okay. This was a bug opened like long ago, and since we had done some updates on the UI side and also on the tower side, probably because of the updates on the UI side, this bug is not reproducible anymore, so we just closed it. It is no longer the case that the process consumes huge amounts of RAM. Again, the same issue, kind of. So we had a bug report about that, but I tested on various platforms and I was not able to reproduce that. And I believe it was just a faulty submission of the error. So we opened that and closed this issue. And this is again only reproducible on Way's machine. He is using Linux. I tried to reproduce the issue on my Linux, and also Ivan tried it as well. It's not the case. I will try to lean on that a bit more, but I currently believe it is only related to waste system, so it's not a general bug. Unless this is the case, yeah, we will see. But right now it's fine. Surge made some improvements on the UI for making this not go below 0. So previously we were able to select this number and then type -18, for example. Now it is not possible, and also he put an up and down arrow for incrementing or decrementing the number. I also tested it. It does not go below negative, and also it's now consistent with the UI, which is good. So this is one of the other closed issues. And
Hey, Oscar, can you back up to that issue that Wei had where the show logs didn't work?
of course.
Yeah, on this one, whenever you guys couldn't reproduce it, did you guys reach back out to Wei to confirm that, or did you just go ahead and close the issue?
I reached out back to him.
Yeah.
He could only reproduce this bug when the application is just started. And after that, it was working normally. It was not the case for my side. It was not the case for Ivan's side. So I believe there is something faulty in his system because the code piece is not OS dependent, and also it's a pretty simple code piece. So that's why I think it shouldn't be the case for our general users. One moment, please. I should close the window. Yeah, I'm back.
Okay, so Wei didn't submit the issue. Was it from Wei or was it from one of our users?
Wei mentioned the issue in Discord. I opened the issue and then tried to reproduce it. And then after the conversation with him, I closed it.
Okay. Yeah, there's just a lot more description in what you're telling me than there is here in the issue. So it would be best to capture, especially like if like it's one thing if we have an issue that we can close and fix to like have a short description, but if this is like really kind of an unresolved issue, so in that case it would be better to be more descriptive, like especially in case the issue gets recreated, you know, like reopened by another user in the future. But generally, it's not a good practice to close issues that we can't reproduce. It's better to leave them open or put them in a backlog or something like that. Especially when they're coming directly from users like in our Discord. Yeah, so just try to try to be more descriptive, and it doesn't have to be like a burning priority to fix the issue, but it's generally like when you say something like it's a problem with the user system, not with my code, it's actually a problem with your code that it can't adapt to the user system is really probably what the problem is. So
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, thanks.
All right. I added my notes, so I will reconsider this issue. We already been through that. Any questions about this one? Okay. And submitted by Justin and actually fixed by Ivan. So this is a very collaborative issue. When we export the logs to a file, the best number block was not shown in the log file unless we open it with the terminal. So cat and file name in the terminal is actually displaying the number amount here in here. But since Substrate is using bold or some color and inlining that into the bytecode, it's not representable in the normal text editors. That's why we had these escape characters in here. So Ivan submitted an pull request, and now it is fixed.
Osman, sorry, it's not actually fixed because like I mean these exact lines which Substrate puts like at the during the node sync, it actually inlines these anti characters, and we can just get rid of them. So but we got rid of most of those in the logs and also in the terminal if that would be the case. Yeah. But unfortunately, for those kind of lines during the node sync, it will be still working, as I know.
Oh, so this number won't be displayed in the file?
No, it's actually displayed here. If you can see right after the M letter, like 14,025, this is the block number.
Oh, okay. Okay. So we can have more discussions about that later. And we can proceed to pull requests if you like. So there is the support for external drives. Actually, no need to go into the PR, but it will now update the UI so that when you select a folder from an external drive, it will update the stats according to that drive, which is selected, so that you can utilize the whole free space in your external drive. And for the closed ones, yeah, most of them were updating the version and updating the dependencies, but for the future wise, it's this one. And this one, and this one. So we reverted the changes about node restart because when we clicked the name for editing the node field, node name field, it was crashing due to a bug on the Substrate side. Node is not fully closed and still continues to use the database. So we cannot restart a new node because they are getting crazy on the new database. So sorry, the same database. That's why we reverted the changes about that. This is the search PR for fixing that inconsistent UI, and this is the PR of Ivan for changing the encoding for the logs. So I believe that's all. If you have any questions, I am pleased to answer them.
No questions on my end. What are the next steps, Özkan?
I just finished the external drive stats update. So I haven't thought truly about the next steps. I was going to do that this night. but we can search from here. This should be fixed. So I can focus on this or this and this. Again, as you said, I can contact again with Wei and try to reproduce the issue in a more detailed way for the show logs button. And aside from that, I will just choose from the higher priority to the lower priority from my tasks.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. Any other thing?
Are we getting any, I guess, any feedback in general, like high level feedback or good or bad from the community on Subspace Desktop, people that are actually using it? Has anyone like farm blocks on incentivized testnet? Yeah.
I don't know if I've seen any farm block like messages yet. Overall, people have really liked to see the improvements we've been making. Like the show logs button, for example, was a really big one that kind of improved user interaction. So people are happy to see that. I also did see some users that were a little frustrated with the external drive bug. It had been open for a little bit longer. I think we opened it like a month ago, so they're like, "Why isn't this fixed yet?" So they were just kind of complaining about that. But other than that, it's been pretty good. I've noticed the sentiment seems to be picking up again. Obviously, dipped just a little bit with some of the issues, but it's starting to get back up to that point where everyone's getting really excited and just happy to see like those continued iterations.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I can
Okay.
talk about the Turkish community, like I'm in the Telegram channel. So for the first steps of the desktop app, when we had many bugs, there were some questions asked or some complaints about the bugs. But right now it's very silent about the Subspace desktop, which means a very good thing for the Turkish community. That's why I'm really pleased about that.
Awesome. Okay. And Justin, have you been following any of the metrics Wei's been doing on the downloads or looking in telemetry to see what the actual usage of Subspace Desktop is right now?
I was recently. I don't think he's put out an update in the past like week or so. So I need to follow up with him on exactly what we're looking like as far as those current metrics go.
Okay, no worries, just curious. Okay, that sounds great. Glad to hear the community is happy. And I guess we can always tell them if they don't want to use, or if the external drive's not working on desktop, they can just always use the CLI version and still use that external drive.
Yeah, Nazar was recommending that in the places. But in a few days, it should be possible to use external drives in the desktop application as well with the full support.
Right. Okay. Great.
All right. And thanks for watching, everybody. See you next week.